Wife's 30-day husband reset backfired spectacularly. The divorce papers were delivered to my office on a Tuesday morning, exactly 30 days after my wife announced her husband reset challenge. But here's the twist she never saw coming. I was the one who filed them. Let me back up to explain how we got here, because this story starts with the most ridiculous text message I've ever received. If you're into honest stories about relationships, trust, and betrayal, hit that follow button. You won't want to miss the next one. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Wednesday when my phone buzzed during a board meeting. The message from my wife Rachel was a full paragraph, but the opening line made my blood freeze. I'm implementing a 30-day husband reset starting immediately. This is not a discussion. I excused myself from the meeting and read the entire message in disbelief. According to Rachel, she'd been attending something called the Empowered Wife Workshop for 3 months. The facilitator, some relationship guru named Dr. Miranda Volkov, had convinced the women that modern husbands needed periodic resets to remember their wives' value. The rules were insane. 1, no physical contact for 30 days. 2, I sleep in the guest room. 3, I handle all household chores and cooking. 4, no entertainment or leisure activities without her explicit permission. 5, daily written appreciation letters detailing what I'm grateful for about her. 6, complete financial transparency with weekly reports of all spending. 7, no contact with friends or family without her approval. The message ended with, "This will help you remember how much you need me and value our marriage." Dr. Volkov says men who resist are proving they don't truly love their wives. I stood in that corporate hallway, reading this manifesto of manipulation, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, something calmer and more dangerous. I walked back into the boardroom and delivered the presentation that would secure the biggest deal of my career. $50 million contract, locked down in under 2 hours. When my colleagues congratulated me afterward, I felt nothing. My mind was elsewhere, calculating. That evening, I came home to find Rachel had already moved my belongings to the guest room. She was sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of notebooks and what looked like a checklist. "Did you read my message?" she asked without looking up. "I did. And I need to understand something first. Where did you get the idea that I don't value you or our marriage?" She finally looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in her eyes. A cold satisfaction, like she was enjoying this power play. "Dr. Volkov helped me realize that you've been taking me for granted. You work late, you don't initiate romance anymore. You assume I'll always be here. This reset will fix that. By treating me like a servant for a month. By helping you remember what you have to lose." I nodded slowly. "I see. And what happens after 30 days? If you complete the challenge successfully, Dr. Volkov says you'll be a transformed husband. More attentive, more grateful, more devoted. And if I don't complete it?" She smiled and it wasn't warm. "Dr. Volkov says that means you never loved me enough to fight for our marriage." That night, I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, processing what had just happened. My wife of 6 years had essentially declared war on our marriage, disguised as some twisted form of therapy. But two could play strategic games. The next morning, I did something Rachel never expected. I agreed to her terms, completely enthusiastically, without argument. "I think you're absolutely right," I told her over breakfast. "I have been taking you for granted. 30 days to reset and remember what's important? That sounds like exactly what I need." The surprise on her face was immediate. She'd expected resistance, arguments, begging. Instead, I was embracing her challenge like it was a gift. "Really?" she asked, clearly thrown off balance. "Really, in fact, I think we should document this journey. I'll keep a detailed journal of my transformation. Maybe we can even share our success story with Dr. Volkov's other couples." That afternoon, I made 3 phone calls that would change everything. First, I called my lawyer. Not for divorce, not yet, but to understand my options and begin documenting what was happening. Second, I called a private investigator. Something about this Dr. Volkov and her Empowered Wife Workshop felt off. I wanted to know more about the woman filling my wife's head with manipulation tactics. Third, I called my accountant to begin separating our finances in ways that protected my assets while still appearing compliant with Rachel's transparency demands. That evening, I prepared dinner, salmon with roasted vegetables, her favorite. I served it with candles and wine, then presented her with my first gratitude letter. Dear Rachel, I read aloud, today I'm grateful for your courage in recognizing that our marriage needed this reset. I'm grateful for your willingness to guide me toward becoming the husband you deserve. Most of all, I'm grateful for this opportunity to prove my love through actions, not just words. She was practically glowing. This was exactly what Dr. Volkov had promised would happen. But here's what Rachel didn't know. I was documenting everything, every demand, every rule, every humiliating task. My gratitude journal was actually a detailed record of psychological manipulation that would be very useful later. By day 5, I'd completed every household chore, cooked every meal, and written 5 increasingly elaborate gratitude letters. Rachel was posting about our marriage transformation journey on social media, sharing photos of flower arrangements I'd made and gourmet meals I'd prepared. Her friends were commenting with jealousy, "Goals! Why can't my husband be this romantic? Dr. Volkov is a genius." What they didn't see was the research I was doing after Rachel went to bed each night. Dr. Miranda Volkov wasn't a licensed therapist. She was a twice-divorced life coach who'd built a business around convincing women to psychologically abuse their husbands. Her Empowered Wife workshop was essentially a pyramid scheme where women paid $2,000 to learn manipulation tactics, then recruited other wives to join. More disturbing, I found testimonials from men whose marriages had been destroyed by Volkov's methods. Divorces, custody battles, financial ruin. This woman was a predator feeding on relationship insecurities. But the most shocking discovery came on day 8. Rachel wasn't just attending workshops, she was training to become a facilitator herself. She'd paid $15,000 of our money without telling me to join Volkov's Inner Circle program. The plan was to launch her own manipulation workshop franchise in our city. My wife wasn't just participating in this scheme, she was planning to profit from it. That night, I wrote my most heartfelt gratitude letter yet. Dear Rachel, today I'm grateful for clarity. Your reset challenge has shown me exactly who you've become and exactly what our marriage has been built on. I'm grateful for this revelation, even though it's painful. Tomorrow, I promise to show you the same level of respect you've shown me. She read it with tears in her eyes. Oh, honey, you're really changing. I can see it happening. The next morning, I woke early and prepared breakfast. Eggs Benedict, fresh coffee, orange juice. I served it to her in bed with a single red rose. This is beautiful, she said, taking a bite. What's the occasion? Just following the reset rules, making sure you know how much I value you. After she finished eating, I handed her an envelope. What's this? She asked, still glowing from what she thought was romantic attention. Open it. She tore open the envelope and pulled out a thick stack of papers. It took her a moment to understand what she was looking at. These are, she began, her face going pale. Divorce papers, I confirmed. Filed yesterday morning. The coffee mug slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. What? No, this can't be right. You've been doing so well with the reset. You're transforming. I sat on the edge of the bed, my voice calm and steady. I was transforming into someone with enough self-respect to leave a manipulative marriage. This is insane. Dr. Volkov said some men rebel near the end, but Dr. Volkov, I interrupted, is a fraud who preys on insecure women and teaches them to abuse their husbands. She's not a licensed therapist. She's been divorced twice for domestic abuse, and you paid her $15,000 of our money to learn how to psychologically torture me. Rachel's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. The gratitude journal you love so much. It was actually documentation of your emotional abuse. Every demand, every humiliation, every manipulation tactic, all recorded with dates and times. My lawyer says it's some of the clearest evidence of psychological abuse he's ever seen. You can't be serious. This was about making our marriage stronger. I pulled out my phone and showed her screenshots from Dr. Volkov's private forums where Rachel had posted about our progress. Day 6, he's completely broken down and compliant. The cooking and cleaning ritual is working perfectly. He even thanked me for the chance to prove himself. Dr. V was right. Men are basically dogs who need training. Her face turned ashen as she recognized her own words. Day 8, posted pics of the fancy dinner he made. Other wives are so jealous. Can't wait to start my own workshop next month. These stupid men will make us rich. I didn't mean it like that. Didn't mean it like what? Like you were treating me as a meal ticket and training dummy for your new business venture? She started crying, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of panic as she realized her plan had backfired spectacularly. Please, we can work this out. I'll quit the program. I'll give back the money. What money? I asked. The $15,000 you spent without telling me is gone. Dr. Volkov doesn't give refunds. I checked. I stood up and walked to the door, then turned back to face her. You wanted to reset our marriage. Congratulations. You've reset it to factory settings, which is no marriage at all. Where are you going? To work. The guest room was surprisingly comfortable, but I've already found a new apartment. I'll be moved out by the weekend. The legal proceedings moved quickly. The documentation I'd gathered during the reset made Rachel's emotional abuse undeniable. More importantly, the financial records showed she'd hidden major expenses and planned to use our shared assets to fund a business designed to help women manipulate their husbands. 2 weeks later, I received a text from Rachel's sister. She's having a breakdown. The workshop collapsed when other women found out about the divorce. Dr. Volkov dropped her from the program. She lost all the money and has no income. She's asking if you'll consider mediation. I replied, I'm grateful for the update, but I'm focused on my new life now. She taught me the value of putting myself first. 3 weeks later, my PI delivered his final report. Dr. Volkov's entire empire was crumbling. Multiple lawsuits from women whose marriages had been destroyed, investigations into her fake credentials, and a class action lawsuit from husbands seeking damages for psychological abuse. Rachel had hitched herself to a sinking ship and lost everything in the process. But the most satisfying moment came 6 weeks after I'd filed for divorce. I was having dinner at an upscale restaurant when I spotted a familiar figure at the bar. Rachel, dressed up and clearly on a date with some poor, unsuspecting man. I couldn't help myself. I walked over. Rachel, how are you? She turned and I saw the impact of the past month and a half. She looked older, tired, defeated. I'm fine, she said quickly, glancing nervously at her date. Good to hear. I hope you're not planning another husband reset with this gentleman. I hear Dr. Volkov's methods don't have a great success rate. Her date looked confused. Husband reset? Oh, you didn't tell him about your marriage coaching philosophy? The 30-day psychological abuse program designed to break down men's self-respect? Rachel's face went red. That's not what it was. Really, because I have detailed documentation suggesting otherwise. In fact, several lawyers are very interested in those documents for their own cases against manipulation workshops. She grabbed her purse and stood up. We're leaving. But her date remained seated, looking at me with curiosity. What exactly are you talking about? I handed him my business card. Google Dr. Miranda Volkov lawsuit, an empowered wife workshop scam. Then ask yourself if you want to date someone who paid thousands of dollars to learn how to psychologically abuse their partner. As Rachel rushed toward the exit, I called after her. Thanks again for the reset, Rachel. It really did transform me into someone who won't tolerate manipulation. 6 months later, I was dating again. Not seriously, just enjoying the freedom of being with women who actually liked and respected me. The contrast was stunning. Normal relationships involve compromise, communication, and mutual support, not psychological warfare disguised as personal growth. One evening, while having coffee with a woman named Jennifer, she asked about my divorce. She tried to manipulate me using some pseudo-psychology workshop tactics, I explained, but it backfired when I documented everything instead of breaking down like she expected. Jennifer shook her head. I've heard about those programs. My sister almost got sucked into one. They prey on women's insecurities and teach them to treat their partners like enemies. The ironic thing is, Rachel got exactly what she wanted. She reset our marriage. She just didn't realize that resetting sometimes means starting over with someone completely different. A year later, I received an unexpected email from Rachel. The subject line read, "I owe you an apology." The message was long, but the key parts were revealing. I've been in real therapy for 8 months now, working with an actual licensed therapist to understand what I did to our marriage. Dr. Volkov wasn't helping women become empowered. She was teaching us to become abusers. I can see that now. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I let a manipulative charlatan convince me that love meant control. You were right to leave. You were right to document everything. You were right to protect yourself from what I had become. I don't expect forgiveness, and I'm not asking you to take me back. I just wanted you to know that your refusal to be broken by my reset probably saved both our lives. If you had submitted to that treatment, we both would have become people we couldn't live with. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who appreciates the good man you are without trying to tear you down first. I read the email twice, then deleted it. Not out of anger, but because that chapter of my life was closed. Rachel's apology was for her healing, not mine. I'd already healed by choosing not to be a victim of her manipulation. That evening, Jennifer and I were cooking dinner together in my new apartment. As we worked side by side, laughing about some silly story she was telling, I realized something profound. This was what a healthy relationship looked like. Partnership, not power games. Support, not manipulation. Love that lifted you up instead of tearing you down to build someone else up. You know, Jennifer said as we sat down to eat, I love that we can just be ourselves with each other. No games, no tests, no proving ourselves constantly. That's what real love is, I replied, when someone chooses you because of who you are, not because of what you do for them. As we talked over dinner, I thought about Rachel's husband reset and how spectacularly it had failed. She'd wanted to break me down and rebuild me into a more compliant version of myself. Instead, she'd created a man who knew his worth and refused to settle for less than he deserved. The reset had worked perfectly, just not how she'd planned it. 2 years later, Jennifer and I got engaged. Our relationship was built on honesty, respect, and genuine affection. No manipulation workshops, no psychological games, no power struggles disguised as personal growth. At our engagement party, someone asked how I knew Jennifer was the one. Easy, I said, looking at my fiancée with genuine appreciation. She never tried to reset me. She liked the original version just fine. Jennifer laughed and raised her glass. To men and women who love each other as they are, not as projects to be fixed. As our friends and family toasted around us, I thought about how differently my life might have turned out if I'd submitted to Rachel's reset program. I might still be married to her, but as a broken shadow of myself, enabling her manipulation while she profited from teaching other women to abuse their husbands. Instead, Rachel's attempt to control me had freed me to find real love with someone who valued strength, not submission. The best revenge against manipulation isn't anger or retaliation. It's building a life so much better than what the manipulator offered that you can look back with gratitude for their rejection. Rachel's husband reset had been designed to make me grateful for crumbs of affection after degrading treatment. Instead, it taught me to expect genuine love and partnership as the baseline for any relationship. And that lesson was worth every difficult day of those 30 days of documentation, every humiliation I endured while building my case, every moment of uncertainty about the future. Sometimes the worst thing someone does to you is actually the best gift they could give you. Rachel's manipulation had freed me to become the man I was meant to be, not through her twisted program, but by refusing to be broken by it. Her husband reset had failed completely, but my life reset, that was the greatest success story I could have imagined. On our wedding day, as Jennifer and I exchanged vows we'd written ourselves, promises of support, respect, and partnership, I caught sight of an unexpected guest in the back row. Rachel alone, watching with what looked like genuine happiness for me. After the ceremony, she approached us during the reception. "Congratulations," she said to both of us, but focused on Jennifer. "You're getting an incredible man. Take care of him." Jennifer smiled graciously. We take care of each other. Rachel nodded, understanding the difference immediately. She turned to me one last time. Thank you for not letting me destroy you. Seeing you happy like this. It helps me believe I might find real love someday too. I hope you do, I said, and meant it. But next time, skip the workshops. Just be yourself and find someone who likes that person. As she walked away, Jennifer squeezed my hand. That took courage for her to come. It took courage for her to change, I replied. I'm proud of her for doing the work. That night, as we danced to our first song as husband and wife, Jennifer whispered in my ear, "Thank you for waiting for me instead of settling for someone who couldn't love you properly. Thank you for loving the man I became, not trying to reset me into someone else." Looking back, I realized Rachel's husband reset had been the perfect plan, just not for her. It reset me into a man who knew his worth, reset our marriage into nothing so I could build something beautiful with someone else, and reset my entire understanding of what love should look like. Sometimes the most manipulative thing someone can do is give you exactly what you need to leave them. And sometimes that's the greatest gift of all. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.